the number one topic in Suns basketball. It is the re-signing of Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin. So the Phoenix Suns re-signed these two players that embody the culture and identity that Matt Ishbia wanted for the future Phoenix Suns team. And Goodwin and Gillespie may not look like franchise cornerstones, but they are culture and identity drivers. Dylan Brooks is obviously a culture and an identity driver, but in my opinion, these two guys, Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin, are the guys who embody the Phoenix Suns culture that I love to watch as a fan, and I think that the organization wants in its players. And not only that, there are two guys that the organization gave chances to, both guys who came in, haven't been able to stick in the league anywhere else. Collin Gillespie was in Denver on two-way contracts before coming to Phoenix on a two-way and getting signed to a full year-long deal last season. Jordan Goodwin's been on two ways. He's been on vet minimums with the Suns previously and the Lakers. And these guys both went out and showed that they are far more than veteran minimum guys. And for the Phoenix Suns, it is huge because the Phoenix Suns need to basically be perfect in assembling a roster around Devin Booker and the other star players that they have right now or will accumulate in the future. They're going to need to sign the best vet minimum contracts that they can and hope that those guys do what Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin did, and that's to expand their games and play far beyond the level of their veteran minimum contracts. Now, that is easier said than done, but the Suns did it with two guys last season. It's absolutely incredible what Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia have done recently. So let's get into the contracts. I think that these were two great contracts for both the Phoenix Suns and Jordan Goodwin and Collin Gillespie. So let's start with Gillespie. He signed a 4-year, $48 million contract, and Jordan Goodwin signed a 3-year, $19 million contract with a player option after 2 seasons. And both of these are great deals. You got these guys down for in not about as long term as you can get in the NBA. 2 years and a player option for a guy like Goodwin is perfect. And a guy like Gillespie, who could still continue to get better, that 4-year, $48 million contract could look like an absolute steal in a couple seasons if he's making only $12 million a year and putting up numbers that a $20 to $25 million player could be putting up. Is he the starting point guard? No, not right now. I believe he's a backup point guard. But if Jalen Green gets traded this offseason for, I don't know, let's say a guy like Andrew Wiggins just might have became available on the trade market, because the Heat are looking to exhaust every opportunity they can to build around Giannis and Bam Adebayo. So if the Suns say, hey, Andrew Wiggins is a better fit next to Devin Booker than Jalen Green, let's go out and get him. Well, guess what? Then Collin Gillespie is your starting point guard. So it's a great deal for a potential starting point guard or at least a starting combo guard, which Gillespie definitely is. Let's get into Gillespie's numbers. He averaged 12.7 points, 4.1 rebounds. Pretty good for a small guard. 4.6 assists and in 28.5 minutes per game. And he played 80 games for the Suns last season. I believe that was second behind Oso Ighodaro. Gillespie shot 40.1% from the three-point line, and up until March was shooting in the mid-40s, around 43, 44% for most of the season. He was incredible. And he played through a lot of injuries. I mean, you could tell that the guy was getting punished in some of these games, but didn't matter how hard he got hit. It seemed like his ribs were bruised at times. His shoulders were had sore shoulders. I mean, the guy was bruised and battered from the season because this was his first real full season of NBA basketball, but he was an absolute warrior and pushed through that. And he's a great three-point shooter. Almost 70% of his field goals, in fact, came from behind the three-point line. And he was considered one of the most elite shooters in basketball last season because of how he was able to shoot. He wasn't just spotting up in the corner like a lot of guys with high percentages do. He was running off of screens. He and Oso Ighodaro have this incredible two-man game where they'll pass the ball back and forth to each other, and eventually the two guys guarding them will get so tired that they'll just give up a wide open Collin Gillespie three. He's good at pulling up in transition. He's good at pulling up off of screens. He's good at running around screens as well and catching and shooting. He not every shot I loved when he shot from way behind the 3-point line last year, but he does have the ability to hit the really long 3-point hoists as well. And not just that, but at times when Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks were injured during the season, we saw that the Phoenix Suns were A-okay letting Collin Gillespie hunt mismatches. He and Booker would run those screens, and if Gillespie got the better mismatch, Booker would give him the ball and get out of his way because, one, that's the kind of guy Booker is, as he's not all about himself. He's about whoever can get the best shot is the guy we want with the ball. And Gillespie was that guy sometimes at the end of games. Now, his finishing numbers and mid-range numbers both were in the 40s, so not awesome for a guard that projects to be anything more than a shooter, but for what Gillespie is and what the Suns got him for, just an absolute steal for the Phoenix Suns last year, as well as this contract. I think Gillespie, I don't know if he would have gotten more money in free agency or if he had gone to market, but I think he is worth well more than what this contract is. So an absolute great job by the Phoenix Suns with this one. Let's get to Jordan Goodwin. He was also essential for the Suns this season because despite his height, Goodwin was one of the most integral pieces to the Suns' identity because he was one of the best rebounding guards in all of basketball. I'm going to say he was the best rebounding guard in the NBA last season. He was the best rebounding guard in the NBA last season. And he's not just the best rebounding guard in the NBA. He's also a very, very good, not quite elite, but close to elite on-ball defender. He's very disruptive, which is what you need in your elite defenders. Mikal Bridges, great defender, but he wasn't a disruptive defender. He was a guy that was just going to defend really well and contest. Jordan Goodwin is a guy that gets up in you. He's looking to steal the ball. He's physical. He doesn't let you get up past half court without a fight. He's truly a one-of-one defender that the Suns have right now. And even though he's short, he still has the ability to guard bigger guys. Obviously not the guy you want to be guarding Luka Doncic or LeBron James or Jason Tatum or any of these 6'9" to 6'10" type forwards, but with his wingspan and his lower body strength, Jordan Goodwin can absolutely defend your point guard and shooting guard, no problem. If he hadn't gotten injured, he would have been the primary assignment for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the playoffs, and it wouldn't have changed much, I don't think. But I think the Suns maybe get a game if Jordan Goodwin is healthy enough to guard SJ for an entire series. And that's not to say that Gillespie is a bad defender by any means. Gillespie more than holds his own for his capability, but he is a guy that gets hunted a lot during games. And so having a guy like Jordan Goodwin next to him that can kind of alleviate that stress for Gillespie, because Jordan Goodwin just gets through screens and he fights unlike maybe any other player in the NBA that I've seen for the most part. Just his motor and his will. You pair that with Gillespie and his motor and his will, you have one of the best bench backcourts in the NBA. And honestly, maybe the best. You look around at a lot of these teams and you say, hey, do they have a backcourt as good and as productive as Jordan Goodwin and Collin Gillespie coming off the bench? I would say most teams in the NBA would probably want what the Suns have with these two guards and what they showed last year. than what they currently have. So, with that being said, the Suns guard rotation is set going forward. So, we have Devin Booker, obviously. We have Jalen Green. We have Jordan Goodwin, and we have Collin Gillespie. Those four right there, that's your guard rotation. Throw Grayson Allen in there to split the minutes up even more, and that's really your guard rotation. Now, there are times where they'll play three of those guards at the same time and not just two. And honestly, like we saw Jordan Knott get so desperate for offense sometimes last year that he would just throw all the guards out there and pray that Mark Williams or Oso Ighodaro could get enough rebounds that it didn't absolutely snowball in the wrong direction. And I really do not think the Suns are going to be drafting any guards in the NBA draft. I don't think they're going to be going after any other guards in free agency. And they also have like a lot of other 6'5" dudes on the roster as well. Not necessarily guards, but a guy like Haywood Highsmith is on the roster. Jamari Bouye is a guy that can come back that they have not. It's a team option, so they can choose to bring him back whenever or let him go whenever. And you also have Dylan Brooks, Royce O'Neal, both guys who are 6'5", and those guys just have created a logjam of 6'5" players on the Suns roster. We'll see if the Suns try and trade into the first round tonight or earlier into the second round tomorrow. Using some of those guys, maybe a Royce O'Neal can get you a couple second-round picks, and then you can draft some taller players like Trevin Brazile or some international guys that just have a lot more length and skill and size. That's honestly what the Suns need right now. Outside of, retaining or figuring out a solution to losing Mark Williams. The other thing that the Suns need to do is they need to bring in more size along the wing position because as flashy as Rasheer Fleming looked last year, he still has a long way to go before he's a really, really good NBA player. Same with Ryan Dunn. He might be even further away from being a really good NBA forward that can defend and rebound at a high level and knock down open shots consistently. So the Suns need to go after those types of players in free agency in the draft, and I think that's what they'll do. It's no surprise that that we haven't or that the Suns have been rumored to be trying to trade up, and so we'll see what happens. If that means losing Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal, it's unfortunate, but the Suns just have to. They have so much money committed to all these guards that it just doesn't make sense to bring them all back, even if you want to keep the continuity. But you have to sacrifice some continuity for improvement because, let's face it, this team started the season really well, but finished the season really bad. And if you asked a lot of people around the NBA, I would say that they think that this Suns team that finished the season was more who they are than the team that started the season so well, quite honestly. So the Suns have to improve to just even make the playoffs, let alone get to a point where they're competing for a top 4, top 6 seed in the West. So, but before we move on, the thing that I love the most about these deals for Gillespie and Goodwin, it's that they got them done before the NBA draft, before free agency. It shows that one, the culture that Matt Ishbia and Brian Gregory and Jordan Knott have established is working because these guys didn't want to go out and test free agency. They wanted to come back to Phoenix. 2, Suns management is in a good place. They're not trying to save every single penny that they can after being in the luxury tax the last 2 seasons. It shows that they're committed to these guys and their long-term development. And 3, it shows that not just the organization wants them back and they didn't just want to be back because it was the most money, but it's because they want to play in Phoenix. And that means other guys are going to want to play in Phoenix. So those 3 things make me excited headed into this offseason because we have a great coach. Hopefully we have a great general manager. He's done well with the off-season free agency signings. Uh, the trade departments and the draft pick departments, it's too early to tell, but it would sure be nice if we got some more production out of the rookies we drafted last year than we did. Maybe those guys both take a big step year 2. We'll see. We'll see how this draft goes as well. Time will tell if Brian Gregory's a good drafter or not, or if he's really bad. Jury's still out for me. He could be either a genius or he could be horrible at drafting. So we're gonna figure that out in a couple years. And then as far as trades go, I did not like the Mark Williams trade at the time last season. I think I think overall I am on the right side of history on that one. You can go back and read some of the articles that I wrote on Bright Side of the Sun in the trade for him. He didn't play a ton at the end of the season, which is kind of the bill on him. And then they traded a couple, albeit late first round picks, but they traded a couple first round picks for a guy that probably was only going to be on their roster for one season, because if he played well, it was going to be really hard to retain him. And if he didn't play well, then you weren't going to really want to bring him back on a lower deal anyway. You were just going to want to let Kaman Malawach and also Iguodaro kind of be the front court of the future for the Phoenix Suns. So I think it was a little redundant last year, but still love mostly what Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia and Jordan Ott have been doing. So overall, they've gotten an A so far this offseason, just with the re-signing of Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin. But I'm sure there's a lot more to come down the road that even we can't see coming. All right. Last thing before we get to the Diamondbacks, unfortunately, I kind of sucks to talk about them, because recently that just hasn't been fun to watch them, and it probably hasn't been fun to play for them. But before we get to the Diamondbacks, NBA draft is tonight. Gonna go on record quickly saying I don't think the Suns trade into a first round pick tonight. I think they trade up for a much higher spot in the second round. And with that pick, they draft a guy like Trevin Brazil or a guy from overseas. That's my quick predictions if you're watching this live. But if the Suns do trade into the first round to take a draft pick tonight, I will release my instant reaction. Probably not live, but